We will not allow North Korean propaganda to hijack the message and imagery of the Olympic Games. We will not allow North Korea to hide behind the Olympic banner the reality that they enslave their people and threaten the wider region.
That was Vice President Mike Pence in Tokyo this week during a stopover on his way to the Winter Olympics in South Korea. The vice president warning North Korea that the U.S. is set to unveil its toughest sanctions yet, amid what some are describing as an Olympic thaw between Pyongyang and Seoul. The North sent a high-level delegation to the Games that includes Kim Jong-un's younger sister, who extended an invitation Saturday for South Korean President Moon Jae-in to attend talks in Pyongyang, setting the stage for the first meeting of Korean leaders in more than a decade. John Bolton is the former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. Welcome, Ambassador.
Glad to be with you.
So, look, it looks to me like the last 2-3 weeks have been a propaganda windfall for North Korea. Would you agree?
Absolutely. They've pulled an old playbook out of their desk drawer. They did this in the 2000 Olympics, the 2004 Olympics, the 2006 Olympics, under governments in South Korea, basically similar in policy to President Moon, the current government in South Korea, and they're doing it again. And they're getting the same reaction from the Western media as they are from a lot of naive and gullible people in South Korea. This Olympics charade means absolutely nothing when it comes to North Korea's nuclear and ballistic missile programs. Tragically, they are continuing their progress while people are oohing and eyeing about the women's ice hockey teams of North and South Korea playing together.
Well, I mean, they've got a girl band in North Korea. Send a girl band to Seoul. I mean, as if it's almost as if the North is trying to use this to say, look, we're just a normal country, okay? Nothing to see here. We're not really isolated. Just treat us normally. And I think they're winning, John. I really do.
They absolutely are. And I tell you, I think it might be worse. You know, my colleague at AEI, Nick Eberstadt, has a great article in the current Commentary magazine talking about how many times, among other things, how many times South Korea over the past 15 years has subsidized North Korea under the mistaken view that if they only give them enough money, everything will work out. You have to ask the question, did President Moon of South Korea subsidize or provide other economic incentives for the North Koreans to do this? I'm very worried the answer to that might be yes, which means that with a little help from their friends, Kim Jong-un and his regime, are actually empowered, not just the propaganda victory, but have received economic benefit. Did
the U.S., I'm talking about President Trump and the administration, have any choice, however, except to basically go along with what President Moon of South Korea wanted in this? Because, you know, they have a huge stake in the Olympics going well, and you didn't want to have the U.S. somehow interfere with that. So what choice did the U.S. have as a policy, political matter?
No, I don't think there was any choice. I put this down again to the North Koreans' propaganda skill. The games are in South Korea, obviously. We have sent Vice President Pence on a very difficult and sensitive mission to try and show unity with South Korea, with Japan, but also, as he said, not to allow North Korea to have a completely open field for their propaganda efforts. And so I think he's got a difficult job, but it's important that we remind people that behind all this blue smoke and mirrors, the nuclear and ballistic missile programs are continuing.
One of the things that the administration is doing, seems to be doing with Vice President Pence as a strategy, is starting to put human rights on the table. That is, how North Korea treats its own people and visitors. So Otto Warmbier, the father of the man that the North Koreans killed after they prevented him from leaving the country, he's going to attend with Mike Pence. The president met this week with some human rights activists and defectors from North Korea at the White House. That's a turn from the Obama administration and I think also the George W. Bush administration, which didn't like to talk about human rights in North Korea.
Well, I think the characteristics of the rogue states that we worry about around the world, and I include Iran along with North Korea, they oppress their own people, they engage in international terrorism, and they pursue weapons of mass destruction. So I think that President Trump is well advised to find whatever arguments he can to try and show just how bad this regime is, because notwithstanding the Vice President's announcement of even stricter sanctions, I don't think we have time for sanctions to work. I think we're down to some very hard choices. Let me just say, as an alumnus of the Bush 43 administration, look at the past 18 years. How many times have you heard one administration after another say tough new sanctions on North Korea? What have we been doing for 18 years that there are any tough new sanctions left to apply? That's why I think we're perilously close to the end of this road here. The president's got a hard decision about whether to use military force or whether to acquiesce in North Korea becoming a nuclear weapons state.
Well, I think, Ambassador, what they'd say is that we're going to start to slap sanctions on Chinese companies that do business and other companies in Asia that do business with North Korea, and say your choice is this. You either keep doing business with North Korea or you do business with us. You can't have it both ways. That's what I think this is going.
That may be. If we had done that 15 years ago, it might make a difference. CIA Director Mike Pompeo said several times that North Korea is perhaps a handful of months away from being able to target thermonuclear weapons on cities in the United States. So do we have a year for this secondary sanctions effort to proceed? I'm not sure we do. We don't have 5 years or 10 years, that's for sure. We're down to counting on our fingers and toes, I'm afraid, how close North Korea may be.
So we should look after this two-week holiday where everybody says peace is at hand, see what the administration does and how hard it is and whether or not South Korea goes along.
Right, and whether China pays the slightest bit of attention. You know, to harm China economically through sanctions, we have to understand the United States will feel some pain, too, because of the closeness of the economic relationship. How are those New York banks going to warm up to that?
Probably won't like it, knowing a few New York bankers. Okay, John, thank you very much. Appreciate it.